morning. I'm Frank Powers, and this is Lifestyle Tucson, the program where I speak to our neighbors, the people behind the scenes of our amazing organizations, small businesses, and nonprofits. Our friends are informing you how they serve our community and how they are here to give you updates on future projects. Let's make some new friends today. And today I'm fortunate enough to speak with Melanie Morgan, Executive Director of the Tucson Festival of Books. The Tucson Festival of Books is the WrestleMania of books. That's how I've always described it. It's the biggest event in all the Southwest when it comes to literacy, reading, and having fun. It might even be one of the biggest in the nation, and we're going to get an inside scoop of everything going on today at the Festival of Books because it is this weekend. It's going on right now. I'm very excited. So let me welcome my guest. It's Melanie Morgan. Melanie, how are you doing today? Welcome to Lifestyle Tucson.
I am great. Thank you so much for having me.
It is a pleasure. You can see how hype I am.
You are.
I've talked about the Festival of Books to my friends, people that I know from back east where I'm originally from, but also people in town that sometimes miss this pinnacle event, not realizing that it's going on. And then they're like, what just happened? Because it makes all the papers. A lot of people come to town, a lot of visiting authors, a lot of celebrities show up. So give us a synopsis of the Festival of Books as if no one's ever heard of it.
Well, so I would hate to think that there are people that are living in town that have never heard of the Festival of Books, but we always have a lot of newcomers to Tucson, so it's really important that we keep promoting these things. It is the third largest book festival in the country.
Woo!
So the Festival of Books, one of our partners is the Arizona Daily Star, so one of the best ways to find out about the Festival of Books is actually through the newspaper, and the Arizona Daily Star does have a venue at the Festival of Books where they bring in famous journalists from all over the nation to talk to our local community. So it's a really great way to experience things that are going all over the country, but right here in Tucson. So we're really excited to be bringing everything to Tucson. So Sunday, in addition to our authors, you're going to hear from Linda Ronstadt on Sunday. She is a local Tucsonan who is coming back for the Festival of Books, and she does very few appearances. So we're really happy to have her. She's going to talk about growing up and a cookbook that she wrote about growing up and sort of, the local community.
That's amazing. Linda Ronstadt wrote a cookbook, and it's coming here to Tucson?
She did. She's not going to be doing a cooking demonstration for us. Unfortunately, she's going to be in our grand ballroom, though, because we want to fit as many people in as possible to see her. So if you were not one of the people that was fortunate enough to get a free advance booking for Linda Ronstadt, now bear in mind, all of our festival events are free to the community.
Mm-hmm.
You can still show up, line up for Linda Ronstadt, and a lot of those people, especially those that get there early, will still get in because we have free advance bookings available, but we do hold a lot of seats aside for no-shows. And then, of course, some of the people who got those free advance bookings for whatever reason are not able to come that day. So she's great. We're really looking forward to hosting her. But there's tons of other stuff going on in the mall, too. If you're not able to get in to see your favorite author or your favorite author session, don't miss the rest of the things that are happening. There's 34 author sessions happening simultaneously throughout the day. So we have 5 time slots where we have author sessions starting at 10 a.m. and going all the way through 5:30 that day. So there's lots of chances to see lots of different authors. And then if you don't want to go in and see an author or you just saw one and you want to do something else, we have a literary circus. We actually bring a circus to campus. And this year it's going to be our local circus that's performing. The Circus Academy of Tucson is coming out. And then if you're not into the circus, but you love science, we have an entire wing of the festival dedicated. It's called Science City. So they're doing all kinds of demonstrations, experiments. In the past, we've had liquid nitrogen out there. The kids can actually launch rockets with Raytheon. TEP is going to be there with a solar array. They're going to be doing demonstrations. So it's really exciting.
I love it. There's a lot of STEM, a lot of STEAM, a lot of stuff happening at the Festival of Books.
A lot of that happens at the festival. And then also our title sponsor, TMC, is always there. And they have really great walkthrough displays that you can take part in. So that's always exciting, too. And they have really fantastic giveaways. We actually have about 200-plus exhibitors that are going to be on the mall. A lot of them are giving stuff away. A lot of them are doing really, really fun activities. So, it really shouldn't be missed. So if you don't have author sessions planned for yourself all day, which, some people just kind of show up and see what they can get into and see what they can't. There's tons of stuff to walk around. And, of course, there's food on campus. We have food vendors and tons and tons and tons of kids' activities, teen author activities. There's workshops where kids can go and they can learn about becoming a writer, learn about poetry, learn about drawing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So really just like bringing Disneyland to campus.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
It kind of is. Again, like that's one of the best things I love about festival books. I don't usually make a plan. I just go because I know there's tons to see and there's some familiar favorites. I know I'm going to see some circus arts being performed. I know I'm going to see some great science experiments, and it is great for kids and kids of all ages. There's a lot of like good touch and feel type of experiments going on in Science City. A lot of stuff happens there where you really do get to play. And that's, I think, one of the biggest things when it comes to kids. They really want to do that interactive thing, really the feel, the touch. A lot of that science stuff is very interactive, and being able to interact with scientists is always amazing.
Well, and it is. And, a lot of it's too old for some of our toddlers, which is why we have Story Blanket Tent. We have the Desert Museum. They come out and they bring animals with them. We have the Children's Museum is actually doing our Book Nook tent this year, so that shouldn't be missed either. But so that's for some of those younger kids, those middle-aged, or if it's a family with a bunch of different kids, they're really great for kids of all ages.
Mm-hmm.
So that's in the children's area. And there's fun activities just sort of throughout campus for them. So, yeah. And
also, so I went a few years ago, and one of the best seminars ever, I forget who it was by, but we learned a lot about writing movie scripts. So there's a lot of writing seminars also for us adults that really want to figure out that next step of entertainment, or how do people really make it? Talking to people that are doing it, come to the festival books. And I learned all about how to pitch movies, how to write real movie scripts, and write for television in a seminar that I took.
Yeah, there are workshops for teens this year that are going to be in the main library that are great. And then those adult workshops are right next door. And, it's funny because as much as I'm really flattered that people believe that I know everything about publishing because I run the Festival of Books, I don't. And so if you know me and you text me and you say, how do I get my book published? What I say is, come to a workshop at the Festival of Books. These are published authors. They know how to help you.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really fantastic thing that we offer those workshops as well for those people that are aspiring writers, have aspiring movie scripts, or the teens that are looking to be creative, and of course, younger children as well.
Yeah, you're going to write the book on how to run festivals, and then people will ask you that when you come to the Festival of Books.
It's true. I already have a title for it.
Oh!
But
what's it called? Can you say it on the radio?
No, I can't. I don't want to jinx it. I keep saying to the chair of my book and author committee, Bill Finley, he's fantastic. I keep saying to him, Bill, we have to write this book. We also have a wonderful literary consultant. Her name is Lynn Wasey-Sneed, and I'm constantly talking to her about it too, because these people, we actually have about 200 volunteers that work year-round on planning the festival, and about 2,000, really over 2,000, that help us on festival weekend. And these people all play such an integral role in making sure that this festival happens for the community. It's really a love letter from the founders, from the volunteers, the sponsors, the friends of the festival who donate. It's a love letter to the community. And so, all of them, if I didn't get all of them to help me write this book, I just don't know.
That sounds like it's a good book. That's, in a way, easy to write if you got 2,000 people adding a little bit to it.
That's true. It does sound like too many cooks in the kitchen, but they plan this really great festival. So, who's to say?
Yeah. A question I usually save to the end, but you really jump right to it. How can people volunteer for the Tucson Festival of Books? Obviously, today, things are taken care of, but this is an annual thing that I even count on like Christmas. So people should want to get involved. And the best advice I give on the show, I think I've said it on every episode, volunteering has changed my life. It's the best thing I've ever done. I volunteer as much as I can. It's how you meet people you want to meet and people that are doing the things you want to do. So it's not always about, getting paid to do everything, because time is money. So when you invest yourself into something you care about by volunteering for that place, it usually does open doors to new friendships, new partnerships, and a lot of opportunities. So how can people get involved with the Tucson Festival of Books throughout the year?
They can actually still stop by on Sunday and volunteer. So
get on down there,
Sunday
kids.
morning, they can walk into volunteer headquarters and they can say, I want to volunteer, and they will get a T-shirt and they will be sent out to volunteer at the festival. So But having said that, I mean, we have volunteers that enjoy it so much they come back year after year after year after year, and these people get to know each other. They've really become a community to themselves,
Yeah.
and that's really fantastic. And without our volunteer workforce, we would not be able to have this event.
Of course not.
The University of Arizona hosting it, the Arizona Daily Star, TMC, all of our sponsors, all of our volunteers, all of our friends. Any piece of that falls away, and we've got no festival.
Yep.
So the community really pulls together to do this for everyone, and that's the best thing about it, really.
It is.
Yeah.
And you're listening, speaking of community, you're listening to Lifestyle Tucson. That's all we do around here is talk to people in our community, making friends, and I love it so much. That said, we're talking about a lot of volunteers, a lot of guests, a lot of authors. That's a lot of people. How many people come to the Tucson Festival of Books?
So we generally are hosting about 140,000 people.
That's insane.
I know. And it really maxes out at that. So the hope is that everybody who wants to get in gets in. And, it's really not an issue because, it's a parking thing.
Yes.
You can only park so many cars. So my suggestion is if you want to come to the festival and you're nervous about parking, take the modern streetcar.
Yay.
Park downtown.
Yes.
If you don't mind walking a little bit of extra way, park in one of those parking garages north of campus and then walk through the underpasses.
Yep.
That's actually what I do myself because it's just the easiest way to get there.
Yeah.
So the parking garages, and do not plan to park in the 2nd Street garage. We do reserve that for our presenting authors throughout the weekend because, sometimes they're screaming in late and, you want to make sure that they get on stage at the prescribed time.
Yes.
So there's that, but, there's lots of parking garages on campus, and, if you use the maps that are on the website, it is actually pretty easy to navigate. The easiest way to navigate, in my opinion, throughout the festival is to use the app. Download the app. It really makes a huge difference. People at the information booths will be standing there looking for things at the festival, and they'll say, how'd you find that information so fast? And I just show them my phone. I say, it's all on the app.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
So there's an app for the Tucson Festival of
There's an app for
Books.
that.
I did not know that, and you hear how pumped I am. So that's a big, big deal, too. So make sure you go download that app because that'll get you around and get you where you need to be.
Yeah, and the other thing about the app that's great is if we do have any last-minute cancellations, it happens. People have lives, and a lot of the authors are flying in from different parts of the country.
Mhm,
So, if a Southwest Airlines-style catastrophe happens for a Festival of Books weekend, we do put all the cancellations. They're all on the website and on the app so
Well, there
that
you go.
people can see it as the schedule changes.
There you go. There's your up-to-the-minute way to stay in touch with things with using the app. So you bring up authors. Let's find out who is here today at the Festival of Books. It's Sunday, so let's have some fun. Who might people get to meet today?
Okay, so we have something happening. It's actually happening on a national level with our libraries. It is called The Big Read. One of our festival authors was chosen for The Big Read. Her name is Natalie Diaz, and her book is all about water and poetry, and it is just fabulous. And so we have lots of sessions happening about that. We also included some of our other authors in that. So we have an author named Lorna D. Cervantes and Allison Adele Hedgecoke. And they're going to be doing a session on Sunday about poetry on the Big Read as well. But the Big Read's really fantastic. Look it up. It really culminates here in Tucson with the book festival. It's happening in cooperation with the Pima County Public Library and Worlds of Words Library at the university, which are also big partners of ours as well. On Sunday, we also have something. It's called, the panel is called Daughter of Auschwitz, and it's Tova Friedman, and she is actually a survivor
Wow.
of Auschwitz. And so she's going to be really great to hear from as well. So we're excited about that.
I imagine she would be one of the last living survivors at this point, right?
In all likelihood, I don't want to say how old she is on the
Right.
radio, but but I think pretty much what you would expect. So, and I believe she was very young in the concentration camp.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
We also have a book. The author's name is Maria Nuno Ruiz. It's called Dining with the Dead, and that is in our culinary section. So you can see her. She's an actual chef, but she is doing traditional Mexican recipes, and she's going to be preparing them in our culinary tent at 10 a.m. on Sunday. So starting off your day, lots of really fantastic authors to start with, but then, come. Do some illustrating workshops, do some writing workshops, go see Science City. There are 34 author venues that are going to be presenting throughout the day, 10 o'clock, 11:30, 1 o'clock, 2:30, 4 o'clock. So lots to do.
Yeah. And again, the thing about Tucson Festival Books, like you don't got to go all day. Pick the time you're going to go. If you're an early bird, go in the morning. If you like to sleep in, well, then you're not hearing this show and you'll wind up there later. But I always like to sashay there around the afternoon because it's just nice to walk around and discover. That's what I like to do at the Festival Books. You're there to discover things because there are so many people there. I'm looking forward to some guests that I want to meet. Locally, I love Dave Fitzsimmons. Right, he's my favorite. He's the political cartoonist for the Arizona Daily Star. He says he's retired, but I still see that man crank out more cartoons than anyone on earth. All right, he's fantastic. There are other local favorites here as well. But let me ask you something. Who would be like your dream guest to get for the Tucson Festival of Books if you're thinking about it?
Does this have to be a living author or a dead one?
Let's do both. So let's start with the dead.
Start with the dead. You remember that book, Where the Wild Things
Yes.
Are? Maurice Sendak. I think I'm pronouncing his name
Yeah.
right. I actually looked him, and I did not realize he'd passed. I mean, the book is a million years old,
Sure.
so logic would dictate that it would have, but that was my favorite book from my childhood, and
Yeah.
it would have really been. And we do occasionally have panels where we're celebrating something that's for posthumously for an author.
Yeah.
And then one of my favorite authors who actually comes most years, and he's coming again this year, living. So the dream comes true most years. Luis Alberto Urrea.
Yeah.
He comes to the festival, and he's just a wonderful, fantastic man. He got the Founders Award a couple of years ago, and I really enjoy having him come. So that is, obviously a dream fulfilled.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's rad. I help out with this local sci-fi convention from time to time, and they're really big on authors. It's more of a literary convention, right? I'll just say it's called Tucson, right? It's gonna be their 50th anniversary this year, and it's a sci-fi horror fantasy convention. They had George R.R. Martin once a few years back because he did the convention in 1983 when he was kind of not as big a deal. So he's like, I'll come back, and it was a big deal when he came back. Our dream is to get LeVar Burton.
Okay.
I really want LeVar Burton. We all know him from Star Trek, but more Reading Rainbow, right? Roots. I think he's a big man in our culture, and it's awesome. So one year, we're going to try to do that. Maybe one year we get him at Tucson Festival of Books.
That would be fantastic. I mean, I'm kind of a big Trekkie myself, so.
Yeah, we'll talk about that on my other show, Boldly Going, where no Tucsonan's gone before. I'm pitching it to the station as we speak. But
Cool. Well, lots of sci-fi and fantasy coming to the festival. Some of it will be in our YA area, and I should point out, the teen tent has moved. For all of you teens that are up at, what time is it? 7:30?
just about.
Yeah. Listening to this show,
That's
the
right.
teen tent is there, bigger and better than ever, but it has been relocated. So look for it in the alcove of the University of Arizona's main library.
There you go.
And additional public service announcement: do not bring your dog to the festival.
That
you
is
will
important.
Not be able to enter University of Arizona buildings with your pet.
Right.
And outside, we have presentations from things like animal control and so on and so forth. And sometimes they have some animals with them that may want to bite your dog. And we don't want that getting loose and having that issue. So
Yeah.
if it is a service dog, however, it is more than welcome.
There you go. And that was my follow-up question. So there you go. So make sure you leave our buddies at home, our friend dogs, right? Man's best friend stays home. But if they're there on business, that dog goes allowed. So that's fair.
Yeah, that's a different story. We don't want you losing your pet at the festival.
No, that would be terrible.
Yeah.
So we were saying how also Tucson Festival of Books, it's not just this one event. It's an organization that's around all year. What do you guys do all year long preparing for the festival?
So we really start preparing for the festival before the last one has ended. So even though we won't have dates until mid-late summer for the 2024 festival, and we really plan that around the university schedule, we start soliciting those authors immediately after the festival. And in fact, sometimes if we know somebody's going to have something coming out the next year and they're already at the festival and we want them to come again, we'll talk to them about it at the festival. So We have, again, 200 volunteers ish that, maybe a handful more that are working year round on it. And so our book and author committee really kicks into high gear in the spring for the following year. And they're really keeping track because the publishers, in some cases, they've announced a few things that are going to be coming out the following year, but sometimes they're announcing what's coming out that next winter/spring in the summer or the fall. And so year round, they're really keeping an eye on what's current, what's happening in the publishing world, what's coming out. And so there's that. And then, of course, our volunteer committee, our sponsor committee, all of those committees are working hard year round to bring the festival to town. And so it's a year round project. We do occasionally have off festival events too. We have an event happening right before the festival with author Jamie Ford. He is going to be joining us, and he's for a cocktail reception talk, and it comes with a signed book, and that is actually a paid event. That's March 2nd, which is the Thursday before the festival. So we also have a few off-festival events, too. Raise money for the festival, keep the festival going, in addition to our regular festival events that are free to the community.
Yeah, and people can donate to the Tucson Festival books, right?
Oh, please do.
There you go. Don't forget. And it's a good cause. And you actually work with another bunch of great organizations like Kids Need to Read or Make Way for Books. Tell me about some of these other great groups, because I always find this when I go to these events, it's good to network. It's good. It's a good networking event for these great organizations.
Yes, and Make Way for Books participates in the festival. They do a lot for the festival, and of course the Children's Museum, Worlds of Words Library. But actually, the excess funds that are not used to put on the festival are donated to Literacy Connects. Just their general programming and then their Reading Seed programming. And then also those great University of Arizona literacy events for younger kids that are hosted in the bookstore.
Yeah.
Those are funded by the festival as well. And so lots of things happening that are festival related throughout the year. And the Stalker Foundation at the festival, they fund a book giveaway. So any kid that comes, and children and teens only, please. One book per kid they give away. They give away about 5,000 books throughout the weekend. And so that's fantastic that they do that for us. We have lots and lots of wonderful donors that do wonderful things for the kids.
That's amazing. One of my things I do, I don't want to hype it up too much, but I do some fun stuff for kids, teaching kids, and I give away comic books. And boy, nothing like giving a kid their first comic book, because sometimes that's exactly what is it, their first comic book. And it blows their mind. And I'm like, they're going to remember this forever, because I remember my first comic book.
And that's not necessarily something that they're going to get in school.
Right.
Of
course not.
There's a movement towards that a little bit more, and I'm sure, Kathy with Worlds of Words would have lots to say about this. But, it's really more traditional literature still that's being taught in our schools.
Yeah. So, and I see a lot of it. And again, libraries are our big heroes. They have made their graphic novel section. You can ask your library to get you anything, and they'll do it. And then don't forget, if you have your library card, which again, it's a creative license. That's the one mine says creative license on it. It's my favorite library card. You can get books from any library sent to your library just in the district online. You don't have to even go anywhere. And then sometimes you can just get digital audiobooks that you have on your phone, and they're nothing. People don't realize the libraries are still such a great resource for free information, education, and all of that.
That's where I get my books.
Right?
Those that are not sent to me through the book festival, because I get free advance copies of things, and occasionally they'll send an extra one, and I may make them my own. But I go to the library.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's free, and it's so convenient. It's 5 minutes from the house. You can have it sent from anywhere in town.
Yep. People gotta remember all the things that do exist that sometimes disappear into the background. And I was talking about this with the Boys and Girls Club. Again, I asked them, what kids should go to the Boys and Girls Club? And some people think it's kids that need help, kids that are poor kids. No, all kids should go to the Boys and Girls Club.
They have lots to do there.
So much to do. I tell people, I'm like, did you know they have 3D printing at the Boys and Girls Club? They're like, what? It's like, yeah, you know how much the Boys and Girls Club costs? $20. Like, it's nothing, right? And that includes food. People just think that they know what it is, but they don't. And if you think you know what's going on at the library, you don't. There's a lot of technology and a lot of advancement that's happened in this service that almost gets a little ignored and forgotten. The library is a great source because, again, we're talking about books.
I think our library system here, not just in Tucson, but Pima County, is one of the best in the nation.
I think they do all right.
Yeah.
I'm friends with a lot of librarians. They're good friends to have. Those librarians, they get the job done.
Well, and they know a lot.
They do know a lot.
Yeah.
All right. It's not just Dewey Decimals anymore. So if there's another thing just to wrap it up, I mean, really, you told me about some of what you're focused on in 2024. You got to kind of plan it as, you go, like you're saying right now. Anything you can do now, you try to do it. You plant those seeds. You're always looking out throughout the year. But if you were to think of just one grand thing, your big ask for a ridiculous ask, what would you want for the 2024 Festival of Books? Almost like if a genie could grant a wish.
If a genie could grant a wish and I could have anything I wanted for the 2024 Festival of Books?
Yes.
Really, it would be to pick whatever date I wanted.
I understand that.
The university is so busy and they've got so much going on, and we're just so lucky to have them as a partner. But, often I'll get, some really important, really integral volunteer saying to me, well, I'm going on a, vacation at this time, so can you not plan? And I'm like, oh, well.
Didn't quite work like that.
Please reschedule your daughter's wedding.
Yeah.
Because
that is hard. It's hard to do in this town, especially. There's an event every weekend,
Yeah.
if not 100. We're very lucky. All right.
Well, and we're fantastic and lucky enough to have organizations like the Street Fair checking with us about our dates ahead of time and so
That's
on
nice.
and so forth, so that we don't have that going on at the same time too.
Yeah.
Because that would just be unmanageable.
I think that would be unmanageable.
Yeah.
That would be riotous. So, last thing, where can people get more information about the Tucson Festival of Books?
They should visit our website, TucsonFestivalofBooks.org, and then of course download the app. It is the easiest way to get information, especially if you're navigating the festival when you're on festival grounds.
Oh, there you go. So we've told a great story today, I think. And today we made friends with Melanie Morgan, Executive Director of the Tucson Festival of Books. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
I appreciate it. This was Lifestyle Tucson. How do they end these books? The end. Bing, bong, bing. But yeah, then they also have epilogues in books, right? That's kind of what this is, because it's time for a recap. So I want to thank our new friends at the Tucson Festival of Books for joining me today. You've been listening to Lifestyle Tucson. Make sure you check out all the links that she was talking about, all those great organizations like Make Way for Books, Kids Need to Read, and a lot of other fine folks around there involved with the Tucson Festival of Books. Their website's amazing. Lots of info, okay? And Bernie Sanders was involved. How insane is that? So, surprise, everyone felt the burn here in Arizona just a few days after it snowed. So how exciting is that? But for more information about our program or to listen to something you may have missed, go to the Sunday Mornings page on KLPX.com, KFMA.com, MixFM.com, or ESPNTucson.com. You can also subscribe on iTunes or wherever fine podcasts are authored. I'm your BFF, Frank Powers. Toot Toot Tucson. I love you the most.